Hello everyone, my name is Colin McDonald. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction here at Georgetown, here with Principal.
Peter Lucia, the principal.
We're here to talk a little bit about the one-to-one iPad initiative that we are rolling out to the middle high school next year. This is a presentation that we gave for parents and community members a few weeks back, but we wanted to make sure that we could have it in a digital format so that anyone that wasn't able to attend that information session gets all the same information. So today we're just going to run through a few of the details about Georgetown's proposed one-to-one iPad initiative. So to start, we're going to talk about what is a one-to-one program. And at the very simplest, a one-to-one initiative is when each student has access to an electronic device in order to complete their schoolwork, in order to access the internet and work on educational apps so that they can get the most out of their experience at school. Other than just giving a student a device, one-to-one programs really benefit the educational experience by doing a few things. One, by personalizing and differentiating for all students. We know that students learn in different ways, so giving them access to technology can help them access the curriculum in their own unique learning styles. It promotes the 21st century learning skills, which we'll talk about in the next slide, which is very close to Georgetown's mission and vision. And lastly, it encourages new instructional strategies. We know that we're living in a technological world where things are changing every day, so we need to be at the forefront of all of the new educational opportunities so our students can communicate, collaborate, curate, and create in lots of different ways. Georgetown is not the only school that is looking to do a one-to-one iPad program. In fact, there are several districts, both nearby, nationally and internationally, that have already established their one-to-one iPad programs. And this slide just shows that there's already a host of research out there that speaks to the benefits of a one-to-one program. We'll go into some of the preparations that Georgetown has made, including looking at some of this research in a bit, but it is important to know that there's a lot of research that's already out there as to why we want to move forward with this. I'll let Principal Lucia speak to why a one-to-one program is really beneficial to Georgetown and speaks to its mission.
As Mr. McDonald has stated, that it aligns very closely to our core values and beliefs in 21st century learning expectations. When we talk about 21st century learning, we talk about skilled communicators, being able to use diverse media formats, being responsible, involved, and contributing members to their school and their community. Students should be able to use technology as a learning tool, and it is very helpful in creating critical and creative thinkers.
So the question often comes up when we're talking about technology, especially with a one-to-one program, is why has Georgetown Middle High School decided to use iPads as their device of choice? And there are costs and benefits to any device choice for a one-to-one program, be it Chromebooks, laptops, iPads, a bring your own device policy, and having weighed all of the options, all of the pros and cons of all of the device choices, we feel that iPads are the most beneficial for our stated goals, which is not just to give students technology, but to use that technology in the best way possible in the education setting. So, for instance, the iWork and third-party apps that are available on an iPad work for all content areas, all levels of learning, all grade levels with an iPad. Apple provides really excellent support for educational institutions and are already working with districts in the close vicinity, so we have a good connection with the company itself. All students and teachers will have access to the same technology, creating a really efficient use of class time. The last thing that we want is to use valuable instructional time to make sure that we can all know how to use the device as opposed to diving right in and doing good work with that device. And when we talk about preparations, we'll talk about how that's already started to happen, specifically with the staff using these products. And lastly, the biggest benefit to using iPads are the access to all of the apps. That's what really, I think, sold Georgetown on going for iPads as opposed to any other device. The fact that there are so many different established applications that teachers and students can use. So these slides simply talk about some applications that are already being used in the classroom setting in our pilot program, which we'll talk about in a minute, that reinforce current learning strategies that students and teachers are already familiar with. Things like brainstorming and mind mapping, creating webs, but being able to do that digitally and share those maps and those brainstorms with peers. The idea of using formative assessments and creating study guides that are interactive, that are fluid, and can be used across all content areas. And lastly, using the device to take notes and annotate in really unique ways where you're not able to always do that with just a pad and paper. You're able to highlight, draw pictures, draw pictographs, take notes the standard way with a stylus or a pen, and also use a keyboard to take notes more efficiently. So there are a lot of apps that are already reinforcing what we're currently doing. However, on the next slide, we're really excited about all of the applications on an iPad that can enhance the learning experience and really take the next step into those 21st century learning expectations. So here are just a small snapshot of some of the apps that are being used and our teachers have had some professional development on that can really enhance the learning experience, such as Paper by 53, where students can create their own books. They can take their own content that they're learning and put that into creative ways to showcase and to show their mastery of the content and the skills. Book Writer is a similar application. And then at the bottom there are just several different applications that can really encourage students and teachers to take what they know and use that information in really unique and dynamic ways so that we're preparing students for the types of technology, the types of communication that they're going to be using when they leave us here at Georgetown.
So I'd like to talk to you a minute about what we have done to this point already to prepare for this initiative. It isn't something that we're just trying to roll out next year. We've been actually working on it for several years. A couple of years ago, we feel it's very important to first get this technology into the hands of teachers so they're familiar with how to use them and when the students come in with their devices. So 2 years ago, all students received MacBook Airs, and last year all teachers received iPads, and we have done a lot of professional development over that time, over the last 2 years, with teaching students how to integrate that into their instruction. We've also gone on several school visits to schools that have this initiative already, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're trying to learn from other people's mistakes and successes and adapt it to the Georgetown model. We've looked at best practices with one-on-one, and our biggest step is our pilot program. We have a history class this year where every student has an iPad, and the teacher has great expertise in integrating this into her instruction, and we're trying to simulate what it would look like at a micro level to see what kinds of successes and what kinds of problems we may run into at Georgetown. So we'll be ready to go when we roll it out next year. So our plan for rollout is not everybody at once. It's for 3 grades at a time, and basically the reason for this is based upon the idea that most parents will decide to be involved in a 3-year lease program. So next year we will start with the 7th grade, the 9th grade, and the 10th grade. In the following year we'll use those same grades, and by 2019-20 everyone at Georgetown Middle High School will have an iPad.
So we'll talk now about what this rollout is going to look like, specifically how we're going to get these devices in our students' hands. And the model that we've based this proposal off of is a partnership between parents, families, and the school community. It is primarily a leasing program, and we'll go into the specifics of that. But there will be the opportunity for families to purchase or lease to own an iPad through the school, and there are a lot of benefits that come from that. This slide shows the breakdown of everything that is included in that leasing through Georgetown Public Schools and the cost comparison versus what it would cost retail to what it costs getting it through Georgetown. So first is the iPad Pro. We're going with the most updated version of the iPad to date, so that in 3 years' time those machines will still be relevant. We know that technology turns over relatively quickly, so we want to get the most powerful devices in our students' hands now so that they are still relevant years down the road. We also want to make sure that those devices are protected, and in talking with some of the schools that we visited, we're going with a really sturdy case that has a built-in keyboard. That was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got from the pilot program was you need to have an external keyboard if you're going to do a one-to-one program for it to work efficiently. So that case is very sturdy and rugged. The schools that we've talked to that use it have very little instances of breakage, and it comes with that built-in keyboard as well. The lease through the school has 3 years of Apple Care coverage as opposed to 2 years, which is what you can only buy through retail, and that covers repairs and replacements up to 2 breakages per device. Should something happen, it fall down out of a backpack, or should accidentally have a screen crack, or if it just malfunctions. That does not cover any loss or theft. However, there will be software that we can use to try to minimize those instances. Through the school, we were going to use a device management system called JAMP, which we'll get into on the next slide. And also, by leasing through the school, Georgetown will purchase all of the required educational apps that will automatically be pushed out onto those iPads, so a student never has to worry about whether or not they have the right tools to complete their schoolwork and to make sure that they can get everything done for their classes that's needed in the one-to-one. So regarding this management software, the JAMP is the name of the company, and what this allows the school to do is maintain some control over how these iPads are used, because first and foremost, the iPads for the one-to-one program are an educational tool. So like I mentioned, all apps will be purchased through Georgetown and will be pushed out through this software to students who have their iPad through the leasing program. It allows students to use only those school-approved apps. That's helpful for storage capacity of the apps. It's also helpful to make sure that all of our students are on task when they're working in a one-to-one setting. All of the updates and any new apps that are needed, should a teacher say, hey, I really want this on my iPads in a couple days, they can let us know, and we can automatically do that so the students always have the most up-to-date and current versions of what's needed. There will be some flexibility for students to put their own email addresses and their own music, should they choose to do that, on their iPads. So we do want students to have a little bit of freedom for their own personal content, but we don't want to overload this educational app with anything else that wouldn't be necessary to complete their schoolwork. And then once an iPad is paid in full, students can choose to have that system removed, and then they can maintain complete control over the iPad. However, they then will assume the responsibility of putting any of the required apps on there, or they can continue to have the school manage their device, and then when they graduate, or if they're no longer part of the Georgetown school system, we can remove that software, and they can take those iPads with them if it is paid outright. Miss anything?
I think you got it.
Great. So as far as participation options for the one-to-one program, option 1 is where we see most of our families joining this one-to-one program, and that is the financing or the leasing program that we've been talking about. So for approximately $26 a month, families will receive an iPad and all of those peripherals that I mentioned previously, and that's on a 3-year leasing model. So after 3 years of those payments, students will own the iPad outright, continue to use those iPads to complete their schoolwork, or can choose to do with those machines whatever it is after they own them outright. As I mentioned, they can always choose to keep that management software on there and continue to use it after those 3 years for school-related issues. Option 2 is we understand that many families or many students may already have an iPad. And as long as it can run the most current version of iOS, which is Apple's software, students can bring their iPads to Georgetown to hook into the public network, to the guest network, and complete their schoolwork there. And then option 3 is if any families or students choose not to be a part of this program, they can opt out of the one-to-one program, or they can continue to bring their own device, which is the current policy at Georgetown. The only caveat there is because those devices and those platforms may not always work within the one-to-one setting, students may need to be provided an older version of an iPad from the school just for that time in the class. Students won't be able to bring those iPads home, and they'll have to return those iPads should they choose to opt out, bring their own device. As far as the leasing option, for option 1, we do want to be flexible for families that are in different situations. So the financing details, we're working with a management company called Fax, and they will be taking care of all of the collection of payments and setting up the leasing agreements. And there are a few options that we want to highlight. However, they've made it clear that they can be flexible on the types of payments that families can set up to suit whatever is in the best interest. So if a family chooses to lease their iPad through Georgetown and get all of those great benefits that we've talked about, they can choose to pay in full, which is a one-time payment of $803.04. That includes all of the peripherals, including the iPad Pro. They can pay over a year with 2 larger payments of $401.52, but with that there's a $10 processing fee through the Fax management company. And what we anticipate to be the most common payment plan is this 3-year payment of around $26. That includes an annual fee of $45 just to make sure that Fax can process all of those fees. But that fee is only applicable once per family. So if there are siblings that are going to be part of this program, that $45 fee is only one time per family. So you're not getting hit twice there. But as I mentioned, there are flexible payment plans based on the needs of any family. Want to talk about what's next?
So that pretty much sums up the program and why we want to use an iPad and the benefits of an iPad and how much it's going to cost and what the options are. So what you can expect very soon is the week we get back from vacation, the last week in February, we will be sending out a letter to actually everyone in the school asking them, because you can, even if you're not in one of those grades, right. If you wanted to jump in on that, you certainly can. The grade configuration really means that the teachers are expected to integrate these into their classroom in grades 7, 9, and 10 next year. So it's very important for us to have some kind of idea of how many people are going to be interested in this so we can start making plans with Apple. So we will be sending a letter out asking which one of those 3 options, the lease option, bring your own iPad, or opt out, that you anticipate doing. So when we get that information, we'll put that all together. We'll get the Fax company in here in April, one evening in April, and have everybody come in and register with them and get ready to go. And then families can start their payments, and we will purchase the devices after July 1st, and we'll set them up all summer long. And right before school starts in August, we'll have students and parents come in and pick up those iPads so they'll be ready to go for the first day of school.
That's about it. I would like to mention that if you are interested in learning a little bit more or need some more information, there is a one-to-one learning page on the curriculum portion of Georgetown's website. So if you go to the district page, there's a curriculum tab, and under that curriculum tab there is a site with lots more information on some of the research behind one-to-one, some of our frequently asked questions, and my contact information. So should you need some more information, please visit the one-to-one learning page on the Curriculum District website.
And you can certainly feel free to call either one of us at any time, and we'll answer all of your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.